Okay, introducing my next artist on my show, on my podcast and the radio show, Dannyson here in the UK. I'm joined by Down Under a musical artist called Kylie Adams-Collier. Welcome to my show.
Hi, Dan. Thank you for having me on your program.
No worries, that's fine. Nice to meet you. Welcome to my show. Whereabouts in the land of Oz are you situated at the moment?
Okay, so I'm in Sydney and I actually grew up in northern New South Wales in a beautiful part of the world called Bellingen in the Bellinger Valley.
Amazing. And firstly, can you tell me and the listeners how long have you been performing music, or how long have you been interested in music all round?
Okay, well, all round, I've been interested in music since I was a child because my mother was a radio presenter and a singer. So I've been writing songs since I was 5, and I've been in bands since I was 18, and I'm in my 50s now. So I've been doing this for a really long time and songwriting for like decades. But I think once you're a songwriter, it can't leave you. It's
Mm.
like it's always there in your mind. It's like having like a radio in your head that I can't turn off. So the songs just come, like I dream of songs and they just turn up. I
Oh,
haven't got any choice.
that's sound. So
Yeah.
it's fair to say you've been in the music industry 4 to 5 decades.
Oh yeah, I've turned 56 this week, and I've just started a new band. I can't help myself. I think the older you get, the more you want to chase your dreams. And I've been in so many bands in my life, and I've recorded 4 solo albums. I started recording albums in the early 90s on Waterfront Records with a band called the Snow Leopards. So yeah, I've been doing this for a long time and met so many wonderful people along the way.
Mm. Have you seen music transition from like the 70s into the 80s, into 90s, into the 2000s? Have you seen how the music's changed, like musically, the genres?
I certainly have. Like I started singing in bands in the 80s, and around Sydney there were so many live music venues, and that was like vinyl records. And when I recorded with the Snow Leopards, that was vinyl records going into CD. And now it's sort of like coming back again, like vinyl's coming back again in 2000s. And also like with the advent of streaming, that's really changed things as well. So I started recording on vinyl and then CD and then streaming, and I kind of feel that there's still live music around, but I don't think it's not as much as what it used to be when I started.
That's understandable. And
Mm.
one of the reasons I've invited you on the show is to just get you to chat about a new single you're promoting. It's called Hervey Bay. What's the message behind the song, please?
Oh, Hervey Bay is in Queensland, and it's a really gorgeous part of the world. It's this wide open bay and piers going out onto the water. And my auntie Margaret lives up there. And so I go up there to visit my auntie. I love her so much. I really do. And like part of the song says, no wonder auntie lives by the esplanade because you've got this beautiful bird life. You've got the turtles and the whales and just the beauty of the bay. A lot of people go up there for holidays. A lot of people retire there. But there's also like a lot of my songs. It's a nice, pretty song, but there's a darker element underneath as well. Like the first verse of the song is "Candle vigil by the bay. Darkness took a soul away. Black and blue, he's gone forever now." So that's the introduction of the song, and it's actually pays tribute to a local man who was robbed when he was working as an Uber driver, and sadly died. So there's drugs, there's crime, as there is in many small towns. And so that sort of kicks off the song, and then it just sort of goes along, a nice sort of tourist song. But I just really wanted to pay homage to this family man who lost his life while he was working. That's quite sad. But then it sort of picks up, with the dog walkers and the fishing, fishermen and fishing reels, and Yeah, so Hervey Bay is a special place, but yes, it does have an undercurrent of
Mm.
crime, sadly.
Sure. I know in like resorts, beautiful resorts around the world, you always get that underbelly with these places. They're like glorious to look at. But sometimes like, where picturesque places, there's, as you say, you never know what goes on, do you?
I know. And because I was staying there for a few weeks looking after my auntie because she was ill. And so I was like Goldilocks. My auntie was in hospital, and I was sleeping in my auntie's bed, and I was sitting on my auntie's chair to watch TV and just going in and visiting her in hospital. You know, she was there for a few weeks. So I was in Hervey Bay for a few weeks. So I got to see what was really going down. You know, I went to the local pub. That's what we do in Australia as well as over in Britain. We go to the local pub and we meet the locals and we find out what's going on. And that's how I found out about this Uber driver who lost his life and, you know, a little bit of local gossip. And that's what goes down,
Mm,
unfortunately.
mm. Also, I was going to ask you, on the whole, looking at it on the bright side, uh, Hervey Bay, would you say is a highly recommendable place to visit?
Yes, in saying that, it is the best place. I was so tempted to move there. It's absolutely beautiful. It's like a really wide open horizon. The sunsets and the sunrises are gorgeous. And you get the high tides and the low tides, and you get these little crabs, and they make these little sand baubles, these little patterns in the sand. It's just gorgeous. It really is. Like if you come over to Australia, you must go to Hervey Bay. It's really famous for whale watching as well, especially at this time of year. Like the whales are migrating up and down the coast, and the turtles. You've got the turtles nesting in the sand and burying their eggs, and yeah, definitely. I recommend going there. And my hometown of Bellingen. Have to
Mm.
go to Bellingen.
And I'm going to put my geographical skills to the test. Is it on your east coast at all, Hervey Bay?
Yes, yes, yes. East coast of Queensland. Yeah,
Brilliant.
yes.
With this new single as well, have you done a music video to accompany this single, or are you just going to use like stock photos of like Hervey Bay, the area?
Well, the last time that I went up there, I took some really great footage on my phone, and it's just not good enough. I think like if you're going to put together like footage of an area, especially an area so beautiful, you've got to take a really good camera. So next, I mean, that just means I have to go on another holiday to Hervey Bay with my camera and to get some really good footage of Hervey Bay. So it's like nice high resolution that you
Mm.
can blow up, you know, onto the big screen and put it up on YouTube. So I'm just going to have to go for another holiday, Dan, to Hervey
Uh,
Bay.
well, when the time's right, I'm sure you can like put a little montage collage together to accompany the track.
Yeah,
Uh,
it will happen. It will happen.
Real. And will Harvey Bay this single lead to further singles down the line? Do you like to release singles on a periodic basis?
I do. I do. I released quite a lot of singles from my last two albums. No, three albums. My Light as a Feather album, Little Stone, Sweet Dreams Till Morning. And I have all of my information about my singles and my albums on my website, kylieadamscollier.com. And they usually get quite a lot of airplay because I love to share stories. I'm a storyteller. So, you know, I think my songs are interesting. You know, I write songs about history and the people I meet and places that I go. And so they get a lot of airplay around Australia and in fact overseas sometimes, which is really good.
Mm. So would you say a lot of your music is influenced by, people, surroundings, and the area you live in, as you say, Harvey Bay?
Yeah, well, the last album, Light as a Feather, which was also produced by Michael Carpenter. Michael Carpenter produced Hervey Bay beautifully. He's a very gifted producer and he played most of the instruments. He's very clever. And he produced Light as a Feather. And that album, I'm really proud of that album. It's dedicated to my hometown of Bellingen. There's songs about a dairy farmer. There's songs about Lavender Bridge. There's songs about forgiveness and Fearless Like a Magpie. Oh, you've got to listen to Fearless Like a Magpie. It's one of my favourite songs on the album. And there's beautiful fiddle, Luke Moeller put fiddle on there. And Fearless Like a Magpie is a song about being brave. So anyone can relate to being fearless like a magpie. And there's another song, If You Could Only Find the Time, which is what we always want. We always want more time to do things in our life. And the song starts, the sewing machine sits in the dark, quiet in the cupboard, another bright spark. You know, it's like, oh, I must remember to get the sewing machine out. So they're all relatable songs that I think everybody sort of understands, I hope.
Of course. Am I right? You also had a single release called Willow Weeps for Me as well.
Yes, The Willow Weeps for Me. So it won a few awards. Like my songs win songwriting awards, which is really great, you know, as a songwriter. It sort of keeps you going and that acknowledgement from the music industry. So The Willow Weeps for Me, the lyrics are by John Sears, a poet, an Australian bush poet, and I put the music to it. And I'm really happy with that. It's like a bluegrass sort of feel, a folky sort of feel, and that's actually got a lot of airplay around Australia as well.
I was about to say it was well received, that one, so I do advise the listener to have a little preview of that one, the Willow Weeps for Me. And I know you're on the roster for Blue Shamrock Music as well. What do you enjoy about being in charge of, like, you know, your creativity, you know, your freedom of composing and writing music as an artist?
Oh, that is a really good question. And a big thank you to Stephen Brady from Blue Shamrock Music for helping me get my songs to radio. I really love writing music because I have music coming to me all the time in my mind. I have a music studio at home. I have my piano set up. I have like books of writing papers scattered around with notes written on there for songs, and I'm always inspired to write. I love I have the guitar with me or the piano while I'm writing the lyrics, and I'll just sort of leave it scattered around, and I might come back to it after a few days, or I might just write it like within 5 minutes. It really depends on the song. And I just absolutely love being a songwriter, and I really love radio presenters like yourself supporting my songwriting, because I've been doing it for such a long time, and it just comes naturally to me. I had a dream. I'm a dreamer. My mother calls me the dreamer of the family, and I said to Mum when she was alive, I said, Mum, I always follow my dreams. And I think it's really important as a songwriter, any age. There's no age limit to being a songwriter. It's really important to follow your dreams.
Mm.
And that's what I do. I'm married to a man who supports me. I'm so lucky that he supports my musical journeys. I travel to festivals. I go away a lot. I have to you know, follow my dreams, and he's very
Mm.
supportive. So he's my rock. So a big thank you to
Amazing.
him. He's asleep now. Yes,
I always say in my
yes,
interviews, it's good to have a dream you can keep alive than not have a dream that you can't keep alive.
yeah. And I really love to encourage younger songwriters as well, and say just keep going. You know, the more you write, the better you get.
Mm.
Well, we hope.
Nothing to lose at the end of the day.
That's right.
Mm.
Write it all down, anything
Yeah.
that comes into your mind. And I have so many scraps of paper. I have like folders and demo CDs, like record demos and listen back to them. I've got songs that I've written like over 30 years ago, and sometimes I go back and look at them and I think, wow, I think I've come a long way since then.
Mm, mm,
That I feel that I've improved over the
yeah,
years with my writing.
that's what it's about, a personal journey, isn't it?
It really is.
I mentioned like where you get your influence, like your inspirations and your influences. Which artists have like inspired you over the decades?
Wow, that's a really good question. I really love the really big artists like Emmylou Harris. I love Emmylou
Yeah.
Harris. I love her writing. I love her music. Um, especially when she was with Graham Parsons. I think like they just work so well together. Linda Ronstadt, I just love her. I love like going back even further to like Patsy Cline,
Mm,
and I also love like the country rockabilly crossover as well,
mm, mm,
like Wanda Jackson and Janice Martin and all the old sort of rockers. I really admire
mm.
them as well. And in fact, would you like some news?
Okay.
Some fresh news? So this has just started in like a week ago. I've decided to start a band again, and it's sort of more sort of like country rockabilly sort of style. And I used to perform under the name Kitty Adams, as in cat, Kitty Adams, like 20 years ago. And I worked under that name for quite a while, and I sort of haven't sort of used it for a while. And I thought, you know what? I think I might start a country rockabilly band. So I did. And I've just got a really good double bass player and a drummer and a guitarist. And we had our first rehearsal a few days ago, and we thought, wow, this is pretty good. So Kitty Adams and the Tomcats, where I don't know where it's going to go, but it's certainly going to be a
Amazing.
lot of fun.
And
Yeah, so there you go.
my final question, you heard it here first. My final question goes going to ask you, where's best for people just to follow you on like social media, emailing lists and official websites and digital outlets and so on?
Thank you so much for asking that. So all of my albums, all of my music is available on Bandcamp, and you can download my music on Bandcamp. You can have a listen to it. You can have a look at the lyrics of my songs, see what I'm writing. Also, my website, kylieadamscollier.com, and there's so much information on there. And YouTube, and of course, social media, Facebook, Kylie Adams Collier Music and Publicity. So, yeah, I pretty much keep everything up to date. And my Light as a Feather album is on Spotify, but I think from now on I'm going to sort of stick to Bandcamp because Bandcamp supports the artist.
Hmm.
So
Great.
yeah,
Well, Kylie Adams-Collier, thanks very much for joining me on today's show. All for me to do is play your new track now on my podcast radio show. And best of luck with this record. And thanks for your contribution today.
thank you so much for having me. I was so excited about this. I really, really
Yeah,
appreciate it. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
you're most welcome. And it's nice to meet you as well.